Okay, so this presentation is regarding what we call the digital bridge to your customers. And basically, it really is all about keeping one element of your CRM or your marketing lists clean and up to date in a way that's going to save a tremendous amount of money and time over more traditional methodologies such as call centers. So I just want to take you to the first slide here and show you the power of email address verification through one of the tools that make up the digital bridge. And this tool we call Email Inspector. It's a piece of software we've been developing for the last 2 or 3 years. And basically what it does, as you can see, it gives you a number of pointers or analysis on the email addresses that you feed into it. And if we go to the top, you're going to see on the left hand column that you have 3 quite unique symbols. One is a cross in a red circle there, which is a bad email address, and then you have a tick in a green circle, which is okay or a good email address. Then you have a curious symbol there with an exclamation mark in it that is what we define as a suspected gone away. Our software quite cleverly is able to contact servers that we're communicating with and find out if the person on the email address or the person that is stated on the email address is actually still on the database of the internal server of the company receiving the email communication. And if they are, you get the green tick which says yes, they're okay, they are here. And if they're not, you get this exclamation mark that would suggest that this person is a suspected gone away or indeed no longer works at that company. That's a very powerful thing. We can actually do around about 500,000 of these a day, and reporting back in some instances on 20 to 30% gone aways on some data sets that we've looked at, especially in the B2B space. To do that through a call center, I mean, could you ever make 500,000 calls a day? Probably not. And if you did, it would certainly cost you a tremendous amount of money in manpower. So that's the power of the email address verification. It's the power of the software there. I'm just going to take you on to slide 3 now, and I'm going to show you some of the things that we can do to correct those bad email addresses. So on the left hand side you'll see there quite a blatant spelling mistake in the first email address. That says Fujitsu, it should actually say Fujitsu. And on the right hand side you're going to see how we've corrected these. So not only do we identify these, but we correct them. There again, the second one down on the left hand side, an obvious typo, Smith instead of Smith. That is something that we've corrected, and we'll be correcting this from information that you also have given us about the forename and the surname that will be in the contact database. Often when you're collecting data, collecting email addresses, typos and various other things, the way that the data's been captured or put into the database, it isn't often correct, and you can correct it by looking back at the information in the forename and the surname fields. And similarly another example of this here in the third email there, Bassons at telecom.co.za, they just quite simply left the forename out. We knew the forename from looking back at the original data set, and we also know the typology is first name dot surname, so we're able to correct that. That's a very powerful solution there as well. The identify of the gonaways, again, not only are we identifying these gonaways on the left hand side, that these people no longer work at this company, Mira Farah there, Mark Hines and Warrington, they are suspected gonaways. But if you look at their job roles quite closely, you've got a marketing manager, an IT manager, an HR manager there, and we map company name, Danone, Alstom, Engine Oil, back to our master data set of over 100 million opted in B2B and B2C email addresses globally, and we're able to do a match and a replacement in a particular job role. And there you see on the right hand side you've got Tony Nixon, Chris Wilkins and S. Moran that have replaced those in their respective job roles. That's a very powerful process as well, again saving a huge amount of time and resources over any call centre verification work that would have to be done in that area. And on to the 5th slide. This is just basically a penny new email addresses where the information is missing completely. So there you've got a number of companies where you've got a good forename and a surname. Trevor Bradshaw there at the top, Alex Jones, Brian Jennings, Sean Charlesworth and Steve Nash. and afterwards we simply match it up to the database. It will look like we've got 100% fill on that, so that's not too bad. TB, A Jones, Brian at mm.com, Sean C, and Steve.Nash. So we'll already have those email addresses there, and that's just a simple match and append process. Here's some quite interesting ones that we've done globally. This is showing off really. Forename and a surname at the top, but I want to draw your attention particularly to the right hand side country column. These are the summer countries that we're able to operate in: Malawi, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Albania, Russia. Some emerging markets in there and some quite hard to find email data, but we do have it. And then there's a Russian one in there at the bottom that you may see, and this requires a degree of translation because, as you know, or as you know now, you can only have English characters in email addresses. And this is very noticeable if you look at the example below, where you have a Japanese character contact, and you may have assumed at some point, like myself, that Japanese characters were available in email addresses, but in fact they're not. So a degree of translation is needed there before you get the English characters in the email address. That's quite powerful as well. And that is the digital bridge to your customers. So it's all really about speeding up the process of cleaning email data, keeping email data clean, which is crucial, and certainly in a B2B environment where decay, can be around 30% annually. Keeping the email data clean, and where the email addresses are no longer working, either correcting them or finding out why they're no longer working, very important, and then finding alternative contacts in those job roles, or indeed if there simply is no email address for a contact, actually getting that email address and making it compliant and giving it back to the customer. For more information, please drop me an email, jamie@emailmovers.com. You can call 0845 226 7181 and ask for myself, and I can help you with any questions that you have on it. Thank you very much.